All right, project 4, check-in, the last check-in of the year. Let's see what Mr. Justice has in store for me. This is weird, especially you. This is not your language. An alternate form of medication is longed for. This is not how you would say something. And I like the word need, but really it's not a need, because if you need it, there ought to be a change. It's heavily preferred, and it's would like an alternate, but currently elderly and children take these because that's the current form. So props on starting with the problem, though. Right, the problem is the pills. Instead of saying the solution, I think a solution, because design has plenty of solutions, and solutions can even change over time. I wonder if you rephrase this: oral thin film could offer a solution to traditional pill taking. Really, one strip equals one pill? I'm doubtful, just because I'm thinking like surface area. I mean, if I took that, let's change it. Cool, it's so much prettier. Okay, so I mean, if I took a Listerine strip, roll that joker up, it's going to be pretty thin. It's not going to have the same thickness as what I think a pill would. So I'd like more convincing that that's actually true. I also feel like this is kind of thrown in here. So let's introduce the idea of oral thin film, and then convince me that it could be a viable solution. And then you can go like, well, there's a problem with the solution, is that pills are pretty easy to count. Thin film, negative, they're thin. So how do you solve that problem? Ta-da, then you get to this thing. So you just need one page in between. Alright, you tell me it's a pressable button, but you don't show me how it's a pressable button. Sequence of use would be really good here. So you pop that, open, press button. You have a counter. I think talking about the counter is going to be important. That's good. The label can be placed on either side. These two pictures are very similar. I mean, yeah, this shows more of a label. This shows more of a button, so maybe two are worth it, but I'm just saying the obvious that they're pretty close. And really, if this has kind of a ratchet thing, this thing should have grooves on it, right? How high does it count it to? And I don't understand what this guy is. It's like where the sequence of use could be really helpful, right? So this presses down, it advances your counter, but it also helps dispense one. And that's what I think you're missing. It's just the sequence of use of take it out of my pocket, push it, put it in my tongue, and it advances the slider. I get one thin film. Ta-da, everybody's happy. Oft. Let's go always, capitalize. That way I know it's an acronym. It's good. Good point. How much cost, right? If you go to the ESPN, numbers never lie. If you can give me numbers, that'll be more impressive than just saying it's more cost effective. Not my studio project. I'm good. You're telling me you did design beyond what you were required to do? Psh, crazy. You actually make a design job around here. The Bellevue. The Belmont. Look at them cushions. Okay. Can't see the forest from the trees. So you know, with furniture, it's kind of like there is no problem with furniture. There is just a style you're going for, an aesthetic, if you will. So it kind of harkens back to the Clark project. Are you working for Gabriella White? If so, that might be a good name drop up here. Logo drop. Strong and relaxed feel. Okay. Two options on this page. One is do all kind of an inspiration page and then tell me directions, or synthesize this down to be a bit more specific and then tell me how you derived these targets from all this information. I don't know how I feel about that sketch. Let me look how I feel about it. I still don't know. Okay, now how I feel about it now. I don't like it. Get it fixed. Because you're only as good as your worst sketch. These sketches are fine. It's just weird how that's what I see first. Let's reword that. I know I don't talk about rewording a lot, but I was especially drawn. It's almost like saying I really like the split back. I feel a split back offers higher visual intrigue. Just trying to use those design vernacular a little bit more. Is this an individual project or a group project? So this is what brings me the other designers' clients you're working for. I want a little bit more context, and you can tell me context at the beginning or context as we go. So I don't know if this is your project or a group project right now because of this. I used CAD and then sketched over them. It allowed me to explore multiple options at a rapid pace. I like. Cool. I like the differentiation. The only thing is, like, you made decisions, and if you were sitting down with me, you would tell me what the decisions were, but you're not going to have that liberty. So, speaking of liberty, 3 o'clock, kickoff at Liberty next weekend. Be there, everybody. But Jack is the only one hearing this, so yep, tell your friends. All right, back to the important part. I want to know what you were thinking as you made decisions. All right, I think this is for me, right? Planning on taking about how more. Yeah, so this is for me. Placeholder. Got it. Let me see how we transition. Yeah, I do need you to, because I think these look interesting, and since you don't pursue them, I'm interested in the why. I think you already know that. Needs a little bit of text here. Construction. I'm hesitating to call it construction because it's everything's CAD'd, so let's not call it construction. Maybe detail development. Mass manufacturing prep, something like that. So what are the cost saving changes? I don't know. You got to tell me. I want these in an environment, right? This is where you found it, and this is where it should go back into. I don't mind having the CAD project, but the purpose of the CAD is to kind of trick me into believing reality. Try the word or the phrase lack of attention, because inattentiveness is just, maybe I don't use it very much. Maybe I'm lacking sophistication. I agree with you. All right, we got to redo these circles because they blend too much to the United States of America. And these shadows are super dark. I would suggest lightening them up because it's about the object giving me context first, not the shadows. Right? So America, my thought is like, we should be the number one in everything. That's kind of my impulse. But no, I know we're not. To drive this fact home, I'd pick small, not second world countries or developing countries, but countries that Americans would be surprised that outrank them. So we'll say like Ukraine, Azerbaijan, something like that. Just like ranks 28th globally in sciences, behind number 22 something something. I think that'll drive the point home a little bit further that it's not just about America. Give me context of numbers. I was expecting you. Well, love that image. Hasn't changed much since the Industrial Revolution, something years ago. How about we want you to encourage kids to take ownership and take additional ownership in their learning environments? All right, so you're telling me that you're trying to capture this playful nature. They don't really look that playful. I mean, I know that black and white is kind of hurting. How can we add a little bit more pizzazz to it? And I think the call-outs telling me what you're thinking, what are you trying to achieve in these would be beneficial. So, perhaps I do know that you're thinking through things, but I think, let's see, I would do 1 here, 2 here, maybe 3 larger, me-readable concepts. I would also consider putting like 1 level of colors to these, just add a little volume, and that'd be perfect to do like in Sketchbook Pro or Photoshop. Just a little bit of digital rendering on top, 1 color, just give me volume, and just a little more development on the concept side. Okay, so have you explained the problem? I think that picture explains the problem wholly, and I think that reinforces that there are problems with our educational system. We know there are problems, but there's problems that other countries have solved before. I wonder if that's a little slant you could throw in here, that other countries have really doubled down on this with their own approaches. Why don't we take our own? Okay. Early stages, trying to manage my expectations. I see. I was fixing a joke on y'all, like, yo, why are we still in the early stages? Y'all only done like 1 project. Ben, that was a dick thing to say. I'm sorry, Moreno. I apologize for my lack of tact. All right, give me context on this page. You know you're gonna have to do it. Cluster these correctly. They need to be reformatted. Also, what's your problem? Right? If you don't explain what oral thin film is, and probably reference me to Listerine strips, I'm going to be lost. So use something that we all know, kind of like a metaphor of sorts. Be like, hey, remember these guys? These guys make a really good substitute for pills that are already hard to take. Why are they superior? Well, they're easy to transport. They're easy to swallow. They provide a new packaging solution, something like that. Yeah, you got to explain what oral thin film is before you do the sketches. Survey and research. Reformat. I do like the context. I do want to see more of this though, right? I mean, it's where you get to your, I guess that's because of the separation. Why did you say on this kind of key fob? What got you to that point? Also, I think legibility, you can only get down to like maybe 10 point. Alright, really, really early. I think you're missing a lot of content. The biggest thing you're missing is introducing me on oral thin film and selling me the idea that this is a viable solution opposed to pills. Popping pills. Okay. OSK. Smart kiosk. Candle. I'm going to download that. I'll come back into it in a second. I'll keep my fingers crossed. Because I'm afraid it might be over the size. Ugh. Brain's running slow. Candle. 30 megs. You know my rule. You broke the rule. But because somebody, that's going to take me 30 seconds. You better give Mr. I will get a big hug for saving your tail on this one. If his wasn't so bad, I wouldn't give yours the time. But his is going to take 30 seconds, so I'll spend some time on yours. You're welcome. Even though you distract me during my talk today, this is not a very good relationship. Like, you get me frustrated, and then I keep on giving to you. I gotta know my boundaries. Ooh, what's going on? Legibility, and this, honestly, this was a one-up project, not spreads, because this has no flow between the two. This one maybe has some flow. This one's no. So I'm going to assume they're one-ups because I can't remember your other projects right now. This has to be spreads then. Candle. Beginning page. Throw that on the left. Throw this on the right. Lamar advertising. Who are they? Just give me some basic information on the client and why in the world they are at Auburn. And this is what I don't want to do, you know. I don't want to have to zoom in to find text. What do you want student boys for? This is awkward already. All right, I read what you're saying. I just don't know what that means. And you gotta show me what a smart city kiosk is. I know what a digital billboard is, and kiosks are usually these small things. So give me some examples. Like, what's the scale of these things, and where do you put them strategically? And if you put them strategically somewhere, if you're thinking about installing on a university, you kind of get a top-down plan view. The universities these are the student traffic flows, this is student housing, this is student parking. These are where the most occupied teaching educational buildings are, and then you strategically put signs in those locations, right? You can't use this picture. It's just too weird. Everyone's staring at you. She's staring at you. He's staring at you. She's staring at you. The kid in that stroller staring at you. You just can't see. So we gotta get rid of that one. Alright, so once you tell me the locations, and once I have an idea what a smart kiosk is, then you can start introducing these models. You already told me that Lamar is a family-owned business, so you ain't got to tell me twice. Actually, shouldn't these things, like, granted, I think these are cool. They have lots of swag to them. But do they fit on Auburn's campus? I don't think so. So we get into sketching. I don't mind you starting here, but I do want to see the evolution. And I'm guessing the evolution one's here, 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 and here, right? Because they're not grayed out. I'm a lot more interested in this guy. What did you learn from putting this on campus? And what did you learn from putting this on campus? This is good. That's great. Also, this is an Auburn. It's weird because, like, you have to understand, like, what are the branding rules of Auburn in order to put an installation on Auburn's campus, right? And you know I'm not wild about these dimensions. That tells me a lot more information than that does. Being able to kick that off and then do like 2 detail images here. And I'm not going to read. Not really sure about this guy. You got to sell me on it. 30-second review. Here it comes. Alright. Servingware set. Cool. I think that differentiates this project from other ones is you made the dang thing. Yep. So you're talking about sidetrack and like what's the aesthetic they want going into it. Okay. Grips are cool. I think right at the intro, I would say this is a different project because it needs to be, I'm not calling mass manufactured, but like intermediate manufactured, which took a lot of considerations from the get-go. So you need to, when you had like all those, you thought about these things, right? The dimple on the inside, the wall thicknesses, the demolding. These are things you thought about before you really got, you didn't really sketch per se. You thought about how it's going to be handled. You thought about your aesthetics, and then you developed that thing. Yep, you'll get to there. Really interested in this manufacturing process. It's going to be cool. Nice. I mean, it works. I think one of the major things that's going to make this project awesome is you bring a cup as like your giveaway to a presentation. Okay, it's a conversation starter. Thank you, Miss Samantha, for compressing this file. CSP. Nobody ever tells me what CSP is. I'm always wondering. It's like, what does USB stand for? Universal Serial Bus. Why do I know that? I don't know. How many times did you say CSP? Just once? Alright. Let me see. Are you going to do OTF? Let me just look through here because I've seen it a couple times. I'm wondering if you're making the sin of OTF. Okay, good. Thank you for showing me the conversion. Did anybody tell you your sketching is quite good? Because it is. Whew! That's a lot. That's a whole lot. Would you consider not doing every single one? Like just maybe focusing on one concept solution instead of 3 solutions? Let me go through here. Scope, this needs to be visual. I think it's important to change what is oral thin film and why is it a viable solution to other forms of medicine delivery. I'm curious, and I think it's a good spot for it, is you give me the timeline. So how many weeks you spend in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. If it's logical and other people go, yeah, that's a good way to spend time, do it. If you feel like it's drawn out, don't do it. Also, there needs to be some sort of visual connection between your phase 1 and these. That way I don't start assuming these are connected to your information gathering. Here we go. Alright, you already tell me what OTF is by now. Pros and cons. Needs to be lined up. I might just focus on this for this page. And then oral thin films. I think if you're always referring back to Listerine, people have experience with that, so they understand it. Do you need these pages? And if you do need it, do you put another page? For me, this is a no. This is a no. It's like, so what do I learn about these vinegar allergy? Well, they're strips. Okay, they're strips. Listerine is for breath. I think we kind of already know these things. One's on the package. One is Cool Mint. We know this information. So I'd rather see like a pros and cons to it. Placeholder for many takeaways icon. Surveying. Yeah. Okay. I think it's, in fact, I know that person. That you need. I think it's neat you talk to all these people. What I'm curious about is the direction that you took, because I know we're fixing to get to designing for the veterinary scene. All right, so a giant pro is you have tons of content. The negative is you're telling a whole lot of a story, and I think it'd be good to simplify it down to, if possible, one project or one focus instead of the 3. Which one do you think is the strongest? Which one adds something to your portfolio that you don't already have? Okay. Full, leave this image, please, right? That looks fine. But the first thing I see are these like kind of goalposts on the sides. Scale up. You could still lose knees and give me the context would make sense. Also, I think adding a color would be nice. I don't know what binaural audio is. Echolocation? Yes, I've seen Flipper. But binaural audio? I don't know. And so I'm hoping you're going to explain what that is. Cool. I think this is where you got to intro the technology that you're borrowing from Georgia Tech. Also, keep in mind, I've given feedback to a bunch of these projects. Go look through everybody else who's done one and see what they've done well, do it better, see what they've done wrong, and avoid it. It'll save you a lot of time, it'll save me a lot of time. But you gotta, I like how you show me what this system does, but I also need to see it. What's unobtrusive? What is mobility? Like, our users need a solution that is unobtrusive and offers extended mobility. That makes more sense by just instead of just saying obtrusive and mobility. All right, I want to see pros and cons as you're developing it. A crossbody bag, all right. What needs to fit in this crossbody bag? Also, I'm not in love with this all being black and white. I'm struggling to find what pieces are designed and what pieces aren't. So if there's other, we can kind of colorize, and prototype 1 has a color, 2 has a color, 3 has a color. Is there a way to show me highlights on 1, 2, or 3 on aspects that were good that you put together for your final one? Okay, so see what other people have done, show the current product, explain user benefits, what was good, what was bad, or what was good, what you keep, what was good, what you keep. I know we talked about this during class. I'm going to double check. Alright, you have the Danny Tran posted. I'm going to say it's this one because it's older. Yeah, it's about 40 minutes. I hope I'm right. Alright, play core. Give me some more room to breathe, so scale that down. That way I have like 1/8 of an inch, maybe 3/16 of an inch on the left, 3/16 inch on the right. I think image would be good here. Alright. That's a alarm to make sure I'm awake. How about that? Okay. I don't want you just jumping into surfacing, because play core, play, recreation, playful, anonymity, which is tough for me to say. Surface, that's tougher, doesn't make sense. You had to transition me from what I'm thinking seems to be something playful to the turf. So before you get to the type of surfacing, I need you to show me a playground and say, hey, listen, playgrounds are great fun. People love them for lots of reasons. But there's one hidden element that's hidden in plain sight that separates good playgrounds and great playgrounds. That is the turf or the surface. Then you can go into the surfacing. Are these just the only two? And if these are the two, what are the pros and cons of each? Get that guy off the wall some. Yep. How do you make it surfacing playful and interesting? Good question. Surface Eat looks fun. Is your concept? Okay. I'm going to throw a challenge at you. Because if I think grass bench and this comes up, that's not actually the one I'm thinking about. I've never had to search it before. It's kind of like a half arch. It's already been done. So if this concept has already been done before, what makes yours so unique? That's my greatest question to you. I mean, it's cool, but if this exists, you're just pitching them something else. So how do you justify something that is not really your own intellectual property? How are you reappropriating it, or how are you customizing it to the PlayCore system? That's my biggest question right now, because if you can't explain that, I'm like, you copied somebody else's content. Prove to me that I'm wrong. Cool. Come on, stop spinning. Good. I was fixing that you need a picture of the Listerine canister, but the background gives me that. Ease application. Does it? That's interesting. No food for drink. I'd flip flop these. How about no need for food or drink first? And then what's the difference between like that and easy application? And then bypasses gastrointestinal system is third. Yep. OTF. Keep in mind, if you're going to say OTF, you've got to write the word oral thin film, parentheses, OTF. That way I get the acronym together with the written out word. That way I read it here and it makes sense. You know, it's being reinforcing what you're trying to say. Find a better picture of pills. Those look super desaturated. Well, I mean, you just told me the benefits again. You can say oral thin film, like they superior to traditional pills because of these reasons, and then do you really need that second page? Challenges is OTF. Outside the field. Is a new technology and a new way of taking medication. We need to consider ... Yep. So, these are things that needs to be addressed. Let's see how you address them. It's almost like you're being redundant here again. These are your challenges. I look at these things. These need to be overcome. And so I'm expecting, I want you to sketch dispensers, sketch lock and metering, and then sketch anti-moisture and keeping temperature dispersion as a means to success. And keep in mind, you get to rewrite the story however you want it to be. So if they didn't pick the ones you think are most successful, so they don't get to write your portfolio. All right. Almost the same problem as Samantha. The content is good, and there's plenty of content. But as a reader, it's a lot for me to take in the first time I'm reading it. I definitely like sequence of use. Huge props to that. Do you address, like, this is project 1, project 2, project 3? I'm curious. If you're doing 3 distinct concepts, I need to know 3 different areas, the 3 different markets that can benefit uniquely from these 3 product offerings. Right now, you're just saying, hey, we made these things and we gave them to them. So if you explain to me the needs of where these need to go here, I'm not questioning them when I see them developed. I think there's a different way to do the click, because this tells me it's some type of audio, computer audio. See if you can find another way to, quote unquote, animate that it makes the clicking sound, or an auditory response. Click clack. Alright, so they chose concept 1. If they chose concept 1, is it really necessary for you to go so in depth to 2 and 3? So same thing I told Samantha. I think it would benefit from streamlining it a little bit. Like, what's the biggest problem you solved? And emphasize that instead of 3 good solutions, but not done greatly. Any images with these cats? Like, what's the problem with current packaging methods? Detonair. I'm not even sure this is the right part for sketch page, because I need to understand what the problem is and the opportunities for improvement before you get to sketching. And then I get over this other sketching page and I'm like, it's not bad sketching. If I know the things you're trying to solve here, I don't really care about selected concepts or initial ideas. What are the problems? How are you going about solving them? What's another word? Because like modeling, you made the model, but you made the model learn something. So like the things you learn should be the heading. That's the most important fact here. So what in the Frank can we call this? I'm also having problems with this image, because that's like an implied line and that's an implied line, but you really don't have the opportunity to throw a little box in here either. So I'm like, why don't you flip-flop these? I don't know if it looks good flip-flopped. What if you put like a 40% gray line around these and then scale those down a little bit? That way it's not so infringing. And this other word, modeling, what did you learn? What did you do this for? Concept massing, something like that. Maybe cut it layout. You can show me different designs of like how you're going to go about doing it, and then show me a refined one that's more efficient. I do see that this is in progress. Well, I'm quite curious. What are the things you're trying to solve? Show me those things visually. Address them in sketching. Refine them through models. And at some point we should have one of these in context. Play core. Alright, you gotta show them the problems first, which is like some kid in a wheelchair outside of a fence looking at all his friends playing on the playground. Something heart-wrenching, right? Shouldn't playgrounds be accessible at all? Yes, of course they should. Next slide. Even though it's not an intentional consideration, a lot of times the surface of playground limits accessibility to all kids, ages young and small. I'm okay with you offsetting these as long as you've done it somewhere else. That way it looks intentional. Yeah, that is a huge title. Can you shorten it some? That's a good quote. So, we know the problem is some type of barrier. You want to expand creativity, develop social, and connect with people. If these are your goals, I need to see them reinforced later on. Not that it's bad. I need more explanation, and I need to scale them up. That way I can see what's going on, and I need some type of call out explain to me what I'm seeing. First thought, too much text. Also, they're just dots. Is this supposed to be a play surface? Should this be on the ground? Or is this up on a wall? And if it's one of the two, I need context telling me is this on the ground or up on a wall? Also, come on. Not reading this ever. This is better, right? I see it with context. Once again, a little human figure could drive that home. Fix. Too much text. Gotta get rid of it. I like this idea. That's murder on my eyes. Why is it so hard to read? Alright. What's the problem? Lack of accessibility. What are things you're trying to achieve? Make sure you're reinforcing these the further you go. Yep, in terms of format, fits with something you've done before. My suggestion on this page is because the text gets even smaller, like this is legible. For me, this is not legible. Is there any way to scale this up just a little bit more? That way I can read your delivery, arrival, ongoing. Cool. Speaking of empathy, I think you gotta put some more color into this thing. I mean, consider what we're talking about. We're talking about some liveliness here. It is subtle, and granted you don't do a lot of color, but when I get to this page, I feel like the lack of color seems drab. Okay, these are good. I can understand it. Overview. Alright. Yeah, that's my only really suggestion is try to put some more color in it, make it feel more lively. I might take the camp out because you tell me what the camp is here. So RCP companies, move that up a little bit. Looks like fun. Well, murals are typically big. And I do like seeing the numbers here. Like, it's rare that I want actual dimensions, but this is good. You just can't say it's pretty large. You can say the wall was an appropriate challenge at 50 feet, 11 tall. All right, because we are doing design, I want some design. Like, what are some themes? So there should be a thing between um, your canvas, your thoughts, your development, your decisions, and then your final design. Yeah, I stand by those claims. I mean, I think abstraction is cool. I think, yeah, if you know you're looking for these things, they are significant. It's just I don't see any development. So that's what makes me curious. Is this a design project or is this an art project? I do like seeing this. Cool. Okay. The rebel inside of me says paint over the box. Can you Photoshop over the box? I mean, realistically, maybe you can't do that. But visually, I think it'd be a lot more intriguing and I would focus on, I mean, it's almost like dead center. We halfway up. Twisty pop. Find another way to show this information. Just while it is effective, it's ugly, and I don't think you should do ugly. Twist pop. What does OTF mean? I know it means oral thin film, but you gotta write at some point oral thin film parentheses OTF. That way I'm putting together your acronym and your descriptive word. Also, so what's the problem you're trying to solve? Because if there's no problem, there's no room for design. So, this is weird, right? Imagine you couldn't take pills. What other forms of medication would you prefer instead? Nobody said like injection. Have you ever seen Cowboy Bebop? Like the first couple of episodes, and when they take drugs through kind of a mister they shoot in their eyes. Why not do that? When like other ones, please specify, does anybody really like an enema? These are things I'm just kind of throwing in there to be like, do we really show this information? Because of course, I mean, if they said liquid, you're making like little droplets, or you're making like Robitussin. So it's almost like this is information that got cooked in the books. I'm much more interested in like, what's the problem with current pills? You need water to take it. You might have to take it with food. You have to keep them organized. Kids like to take them. Not super transportable. If you live an active lifestyle and keep them in your bag, and they can get crushed. Stuff like that. I mean, like, what's the problem, really? And then why is oral thin film a not logistical, but a legitimate solution? I don't really care that the twist poppers are inspiration. This is your audience, right? That's your server participants. You wouldn't research people you didn't want to design for. How many 51-year-olds to 70-year-olds are using the twist pop? This feels more like a younger device. I wouldn't devote an entire page to that type of inspiration. All right, keep in mind, I don't think they've ever used one of these in their life. So I think a sequence of use, and you are doing some of it here, right? So twist, pull, but You pull to expose strips. So you twist to unlock. You pull to expose strips. You twist the other direction to give you the oral thin film. You twist back, push, and then lock. It's a good sequence of use. It's just not done yet. Personally, I think these ridges are probably the most important part, considering no one knows how to use this. Because it's oral thin film. We're not used to that type of method of delivering drugs. So I would like something on this bottle, something to communicate extra. Unlock, extend, medicine, and then reverse. I think it's something that could be photoshopped on. Alright, you told me this already. This is not its function. This is more an exploded view, which I don't understand. I think a video would do well here. I mean, the biggest problem is you're missing the intro. I don't mind you focusing your entire project on this one twisty pop solution. And how is this so much better than your traditional pills? Why are these floating? Alright, so it's to be sitting and stood at. You gotta talk to me about nothing. What's the problem? And like, do really standing desks really make that much of a difference? And if they do, communicate that. Sketches, I really do not care that you know how to use some machinery. It's cool, but I can teach a high schooler to do machinery. I'm interested in you made this and what did you learn from this? Don't care. You're just showing off. You made this. What'd you learn? You refined. What do we have? Good context. It almost fits in. But considering, like, if this is my room, even though it's clean design, it's got some personal effects, absolutely nothing. And then how do you bring attention to this guy instead of, like, the other parts of the room? It's not that it's super distracting, but I want eyes over here. Yep, human scale is good. Final prototype. What did you learn from doing these things? What did you do about cord management? Right. Not bad. It's a need to some of communicating your design decisions. Okay, what's OTF? You're the first person to ever stop and tell me what CSP Technologies is. Well, actually, never tell CSP, like, it's an acronym for something, right? No one ever tells me. I'm not really sure it's important. I'll be honest, I don't really care about the company at all. What I'm curious about is what they ask you to do. You got to do this first. So we got to change. Alternate medicine dispenser could work, and then you introduce oral thin film later. Okay, so why are we using oral thin film opposed to other methods of taking medicine? On the go, I really think two things. One, these edges should be slightly radiused. There should be some type of grippy for my finger to tell us, hey, your finger goes here. Also, if this was medicine, this would have a label on it, right? Also, you say that, hey, there's a dose counter, but where? I'm assuming it's here, but I don't want to be guessing. Sequence of use, push it down, open, bring it out. Does it automatically like push it out, or do I have to put my finger in here and pull it out? Do you show me any human scale? No. So I don't know how big this is. It could be 2 inches, it could be 4 inches. I don't know. I need some more info. Alright, because you're using a custom font here, let's keep these consistent. So outside and then capitalize IN, make sure it's in the same font style. Also, that's pixelated, please fix. Alright, how do we make a form that is cheerful? Instead of key synonyms, like being cheerful means ... Alright, if you're showing me sketches, you said that these things need to be integrated. So use these animated, use these, and then take your inspiration. I want to see that the things you said was going to go guide your project are actually guiding your project. So use these words, take some visual form inspiration, and either, I think text callout's going to be helping you here. This is cheerful because, this lacks cheerfulness because, this was a good idea, this was a bad idea. Process. I'm interested in how you get from that to that, because I don't see a process. Right? You should have made your first one like that. Maybe that's it over here. The thing is, I want to see a development, and I don't see it. Also, we gotta get rid of the distracting backgrounds. I'm more interested in this page than I am all three of these, because there's a process going on here. This, you learn this. This, you learn that. That's too squatty. That's about right. I might use this, clean up the background, or take the objects, put them on a more blank, maybe gray background, keep your shadows, put the elements in the middle, and do callouts. Tell me what you were thinking as you were developing these models. And then you gotta tell me why this is successful. I don't see it. Oh, because it's not there. Alright, but it is colorful, which brings you back to this. Right? If everything's colorful and cheerful, your sketches should have at least an element of that too. Cool. What is the challenge? The thing is, like, you're talking about moving people and things and protecting, but this seems primary, that seems secondary, but they're both primary. So what I might do, nix this and pull this information over here. We want to, I still like that background image in the context. We need to move people and things and simultaneously protect these things. All right, go back to prompt. This is going to sound egotistical, but I want to go back to the video that I/we made, and it talks about what's the thesis. We move around. Why? Because we want to be in a place. So where are the places we want to be most? And then how do we get there? And that kind of sets you up for answering the question of, isn't sitting in traffic like the worst thing ever? So how do you eliminate traffic? I don't know what this is. And I was there with you. Also, like, that's an entire page within itself. Like the findings that we had from these, and you really had to tease them out to explain why these things are important and why people long to engage in environments which have these elements. Yeah. Redo and tease that out. I'm not really sure where that leads to right now. I think this deserves more importance. And really, I don't want to read through all that. I think it's more interesting to get him with like a short phrase, which is, from all of our research, we decide the best form of transportation is no transportation at all. Something to that effect. And then you introduce the idea of campus. You explain how that guy works. And you really are taking it's a really thick project to take on in a short amount of time. That's a really good quote. I think this would be good to get like me, you, Katie, Hefe, just talk this guy out of like what are the major themes, because I mean, y'all won a competition. It's kind of a big deal. It's pretty exclusive. So how could we make this more simple and more direct? I think that's where I'm going towards. All right, Lamar. For your first page, you don't really have to highlight stuff. I might do Lamar advertising kiosk 3 project, but you really shouldn't have the bold stuff on the first page. I'm also worried about this first page, right? Why is this thing turned off? I mean, if it is advertising, this should be an advertisement. Ironically, all the focus, like the entire reason why this is being designed is to promote this content, right? I don't even know who else did it before you, but we can't use this photo. Like, everyone's staring at me like there's something wrong here. Oh yeah. I don't even know who told to do it earlier, but if you are doing advertising, one of the biggest things is location, location, location. I mean, that's what that reinforces, right? Is the lack of location means they're useless. So I would take a plan view, like a top-down view of Auburn University, say, I think these are the most important spots to put advertising of this nature, which is a freestanding kiosk. Doing a monolith, but are there any existing examples? And why are they successful? Why are they unsuccessful? Then you go into a plan view or a top-down view of Auburn University. These are the places it must be to get the most foot traffic. And then you have to evaluate Auburn's kind of visual brand language and integrate that into your kiosk. Because if it doesn't feel like it goes on Auburn, it's going to get moved. So I think these are great questions, but I want to see the answers to them. So my thought is you need some more pages. I might leave out the foam core models and just jump straight to that, because the sketches are good. Foam core models don't really add on. I mean, they're pretty one-to-one of what you did before. Also, I want to see those in context, so that's good, except, you do need some advertising in there for it to make sense. I mean, it is an advertisement. So let's see. Top-down view, show me where it should be. Another page is showing me the existing kiosk, pluses and negatives of them, and then like an Auburn brand language. And then when you have those factors, you can start doing ideation. I really don't like when things are gridded out. Like, that's a cluster, that's a cluster, that's a cluster. Can you re-Photoshop these things where the more finished versions are on the lower right-hand corner, and you have more sketchy, thoughtful versions or experimental versions top left-hand corner? You got to do a real AU logo. That's not going to cut it. Also, there's some perspective stuff that's happening in a pretty funky way right now. That one's fine. This one's got some work, and you can probably fix it all in Photoshop, so please fix it. I think we get rid of these because there's not much difference. I think it fits the style pretty good. It's just you need some type of advertisement in there. Maybe not those, but definitely these to make it feel holistic. Hold up. All right, we back in this. How's my volume? We're still taping. Great. Okay. All right. Text is way too small. You should know by now. No one's going to read this. They're going to look at the play core. Okay. Next page. Concepts. So you've got to do a different way of explaining what the problem is. And I know you're developing some type of surfacing. So don't do a full bleed. Do a little bit smaller. Say, hey, playgrounds are great, but there's one thing that makes a playground safe and an enjoyable place to play that you haven't thought about. It's hiding in plain sight. And then you talk about the turf or the surfacing. Yep, I've told y'all, I don't do hyphenations. And maybe I missed them before, but I'm seeing them now. So I told you I'll get rid of them. It means you're not listening. All right, so this is project rebrand, right? Or not rebrand, but sub-brand. All right, so if you're going to do a sub-brand, you got to explain who is Nike, what do they do visually, Never gonna read any of this. Maybe we'll get somebody to read that. Their color palette, yeah, for maybe like there's Jordan line. This is a primary color palette, but they have a huge color palette because they do all sports. So I need images that express who Nike is. What is their feel? And maybe describe Nike in 3 words. And then you can take those 3 words and put them into a new area, which I don't know which area. We are not going to read this much text. I mean, we're 4 projects into this, and I keep on telling you, more images that communicate, more visual communication. And here you drop a text on me. It's not going to work. If you think it's going to work, do it. All right, words that describe Nike. How do you take these words and integrate them into some health thing? I don't know. I don't know what it is. I want to see development of a logo. You just have one logo and there's different usages. You meant to write pamphlet, but that's not how it's spelled. This is helpful. So you can get your white balance adjusted a bit better because the background, I know it's supposed to be white, but it looks pretty dark. Why'd you make a pamphlet? All right, you have a logo, pamphlet, a POP, and a POP. So because that's a bit mysterious to me, is your product was to do 2 things. Make a sub-brand based off of Nike and extend that sub-brand into physical marketing elements. Pamphlet, POP. I don't need, oh man. Once again, I've said this almost every single project. I don't want to see the dimensions. The dimensions are not what I look for. I'm much more interested in having a human next to it that way I can understand context. This is the same thing. Yeah. Instead of having these 2 sides here and a blank back, I'd have the front, I'd have this, and then I might have 2 detail shots. So move that far left, move that over some, have a detail shot, and then what do I need to know about why this is a successful POP based on the information you're pulling off of the detail images. Yep. Seen it, like it, print it. Good job. Alright, how much? Oh man. Can, bin, bush, do it. I don't know. I might even stop and make more tea. Instead of saying semester, say 15-week. Because semester long, if it was a summer semester, it's different than a spring semester or fall semester. So that's why I was saying 15 weeks is a bit more truthful. Okay, show me what this OTF blistering pack looks like. Yeah, I don't really care. what Actor is in terms of a company. I'm more interested in what do they challenge y'all to do with the oral thin films. Pills of the Problem. I might scoot Pills of the Problem up to that one. Because Pills of the Problem, which led to this being a design opportunity for your oral thin films. This is kind of confusing information, right? Out of our survey, almost 2/3 people taking prescription drugs. Okay. Right? If they're taking pills, that's interesting. Right? Or if you could say it across the United States, these many people take pills. Well, what are the difficulties with taking pills? Also, this is bad research. I'm not putting this on you, but it's a biased question. Hey, would you like to try some nacho cheese chips opposed to Lay's chips? Yeah, I'll try some. It's different, but it's not getting real feedback. Like, did they or didn't they? It's conjecture. This is a lot of real estate to commit to something that's pretty small. So I'd rather see one big image and say, this is the problem, is that it's not airtight. And if it's not airtight, it's not moisture resistant, which means the medicine is useless. So my biggest thing that I wanted to fix was making sure that it was moisture resistant. And then he was into sketches, showing me how he made it moisture resistant. I don't see that there's any market comparison because, you've already said that this is what people typically know. It's not in the market. One's medicine, one's fresh breath. Missing content here for sure, right? And then I told other people in the class, I would stick with one solution and explain it thoroughly, than doing a average job explaining 3. And if you are showing these, you always got to give me context. So good. You didn't show me context, so I don't know the size here. Also, the sequence of use is crucial, right? How do I take a pill? Actually getting the containers open is difficult. Put it in my hand, put it in my mouth, drink water, close bottle, right? So sequence of use is also rather crucial in this project too. So less is more with the projects. Do a bit better job explaining the challenges of oral thin film, and then your competition really is pills. A knife problem. Cool. Show me this. Show me that people don't hold knives correctly. And then explain the problems of it. And then show me how they should be held. And how your design can help them hold it better. Or help them hold it more intuitively. They just do it the right way because it makes sense. I don't really understand your markings. I know you have a system for it, but if you're showing them, I need to be able to understand them. I know something's going on with them, but I need further explanation. Also, pro, I like that you're testing it. Con, it's in the wrong place. So, really, like, this should be one of your strongest projects. This is kind of the thing that you do. So, I need it to be excellent. Let me pause again. Okay. Alright, I both do the same project. Some different fluctuations. Still looks good. Gotta get this page fixed. Okay, you're working on it, got it. Energy bars needs it. Other than that, looks pretty slick. Okay, cool. Yep, this one's definitely coming. Yes, I think it's an important part. Yeah. Agreed. Alright. And like, because this is not a traditional ID product, I mean, it's still problem solving. I think you're headed the right direction by saying this has great potential. These are the bones. This is what we could offer. These things make most sense. And then like the business aspect to it. Wear me out. Hold up. Alright, keep in mind, the general public doesn't know what an oral thin film is until you give me the context of like a Listerine packet. That's the majority's reference, right? Good, I like this. Alright. I'm curious, is this user feedback actually useful when you're starting to design? And keep in mind, I need metering, I need dispensing, and watertight seal. So, this is where I want some callouts. I mean, I see you did some stuff, but I can't read it, so I can't give you credit. So bigger callouts. 1, 2, 3. This one should be a different color. Maybe not. The problem is, like, when I see y'all developing 3 concepts simultaneously, I ask the question, why? How are the problems so different that you need 3 unique different solutions? And that could be valid, I mean, where you have the need for 3 different ones. But I don't know. So right now, based on what I see and based on where I believe the project's going, user feedback has no bearing. That's really good, but make sure you're communicating the things that you're solving through your sketching. I think foam models should be by themselves. Like, why are some forms more successful than other ones? And then I need categories for these to fit under. Like, this solves this problem, this solves this problem, this solves this problem, and then go through the CAD. Because right now, you took a lot of time to develop 3 unique approaches, but I don't know what they do. All they just dispense oral thin film. I am slightly curious, like, yes, he does need that ability, but why is it difficult than making anything else? Or it's just like, is it making cosplay stuff? I think you need a little bit of text saying, why is it successful, or what challenges did you have to overcome, or what was unique about designing it. It feels like you have the primary and secondary elements of each page down. I'm just wondering what the tertiary is. So dropping a little thing of text could be beneficial. I feel like it just kind of ends on a. It's not that it's bad, it just kind of ends flat, right? Got it, make cool hats, and then we learned about this competition. I'd like to see him in use at the competition. I think that might bring it full circle. Datatran, this one. Which one was 54? Okay. I've talked about the oral thin film so much. Brief. Well, I'm not going to read it because it's long. These are the things you need to seek out and feel. Got it. You're going to explain what the technology is. Looks fun. Explain this some more. Granted, I love studio shots, but why? What are y'all discussing? Survey only if it's useful. I really haven't seen much useful research or implemented research on this project yet. You have 3 directions. So, like, why are some directions good? Why are some directions bad? And why are there 3 unique directions chosen? You develop these out. Cool. Just make sure it's almost like you have a white line in between all of them. Just be consistent. And, like, maybe give these names. I think models should definitely become before the CAD. I mean, that's typically how it works. And then we have blank pages. Yours and like most of them, why are they broken down into 3 categories? What do each concept solve uniquely? And instead of maybe showing it like this, I hate doing page numbers, but have like blue pages, green pages, and purple pages. That way I understand they reference back to these. But maybe 2 images of this, a sequence of use, and hero shots, detail shots, same thing with your other concepts. But I don't know why there's 3 concepts yet for anybody, so I'm still kind of curious. All right. We made it.